One mistake that I see a lot of podcasters make, and of course I've seen this among existing podcasters who have been podcasting for many years as well, and that mistake is that they bombard their audience at the open of their show with a barrage of requests. It typically sounds something like, hey, welcome back to another episode. We've got a lot of great things to share with you today. But before we get started, I want to let you know you can get our free ebook over at ourwebsite.com/free ebook. And by the way, you can follow us on Twitter. We're twitter.com/our-username. Also, facebook.com/username. And we're also username such and such on Instagram. Oh, and by the way, if you're not yet subscribed to our podcast, go ahead and subscribe in the Apple Podcast directory. And while you're there, if you leave us a 5-star rating and written review, it really helps us get the word out about our show. All right, now with all of that out of the way, now we'll finally give you some value. Okay, now the problem with this is that I believe these podcasters are neglecting to understand the fact that every single episode is going to be somebody's first time they've ever heard your show. Even if you have hundreds of podcast episodes, your next episode is going to be somebody's first time they've ever checked out your show. And many people are checking out your show because they found you as the result of a search in a podcast directory. They haven't yet decided whether or not they want to subscribe to your show. They may not even have a clue who you are. And all they want to know is, are you going to provide content that is extremely valuable to them? If you bombard them with the first 90 seconds or 3 minutes of your show talking about all the things they can do for you when they have no idea who you are, then chances are they're probably going to tune out before you actually say anything that would convince them to stick around. So with that, my friends, I want to share with you what I believe are the 4 items that you should include in the open of every single podcast episode. The 4 items that I believe that you should include in the open of your show are a warm welcome/greeting, the name of your podcast, a brief description or maybe something as short as a tagline for your podcast, and of course, the name of the host or hosts of your show. In my own show, it could be as simple as, hey everybody, Cliff Ravenscraft here, and I want to welcome you back to another episode of the Cliff Ravenscraft Show, a podcast devoted to helping you take your message, your business, and your life to the next level. You see, I have that warm welcome. Hey everybody, welcome back. I have my name so that you know who I am, who's producing the show, whose voice are they going to be hearing throughout the episode. And then, of course, there is some kind of brief description. Now, mine was as short as taking your message, your business, and your life to the next level. I could have also included in the open of the episode that I am devoted to helping people create and successfully launch an audio podcast and also discover how podcasting fits into the building of a profitable online business. And once I have all of that out of the way, then my goal is to jump immediately into the content of the show. One additional item I might include at the front of the show, if I'm going to cover multiple topics and I know what they are ahead of time, I might give them an indication right at the front of the show that here are the 2 or 3 or 4 topics that we're going to cover in this week's episode. But after I tell them that, it's immediately jumping right into the content. Now, I may not live up to this all the time, but my own personal goal is to actually be talking about the main feature, or at least the first topic within my episode within the first 90 seconds, without asking anyone for any favors whatsoever. You see, every single time somebody's listening to the show, it's their first time that they've ever heard your podcast. And of course, they have no idea who you are, and they're certainly not going to do you any favors like going and writing reviews in iTunes. And you might be thinking, well, I asked that because the people who do come back week after week, it's a great reminder for them right at the start of the show. But here's my argument. Anybody who would ever leave you a written review or rating in iTunes, and of course, whether or not you should ask for those, that's a whole topic for another post at another time. But anyway, anybody who would be willing to do that for you, I promise you those people are still listening at the end of your show. What should be included in the front of the show? I believe you should have a warm welcome or greeting. You should have the name of your podcast, some sort of description or tagline of what your show is about, and of course, the names of the hosts, or if you're a solo host, your name in there as well. And you might optionally want to go ahead and tell them what's in the episode that you're about ready to share with them, but then get right into it. Now, one thing you didn't hear me mention was an advertiser at the open of the show. If you do have a sponsor for your podcast, you may want to say something like, this episode is sponsored by, and just say the name of the company. But I wouldn't do anything more than that. I wouldn't do any other pre-roll advertisement until you have at least delivered some value, and I would put that somewhere closer to the middle or near the end of the show. And again, my feeling is the same. Anybody who's going to respond to your advertising message, those people, again, are still going to be the ones who are listening at the end of the episode. The main point here is to remember that every single episode you produce is somebody's first time ever finding your show. And you don't want to chase those people off and have them give up on your podcast if they've just clicked play just to see if they might possibly be interested in your show, only to chase them off because the first 90 seconds to 3 minutes of your show is asking them for favors. So again, put all of that stuff in the middle, or if preferably at the end of your show. And I think that you'll find that people who are searching for podcasts in their podcast directories, when they come up to your show and they click play to preview it, I think you'll find more people sticking around and finding the value that you actually have to offer. And then, sometimes even without you telling them, they'll actually subscribe. Anyway, I hope that this post helps you avoid the mistake of bombarding those potentially new subscribers with your barrage of requests. And if you've been doing this, don't feel bad. Again, you're not the only person. Many other people are doing this, and they've been doing it for years. But I believe that if you were to change and put all that stuff at the end, I think you'll find greater success. So with that, my friends, thanks for tuning in, and I encourage you to take everything you do to the next level.
Podcast. Answer Man.